Hello, my name is Melanie DeWitt, and I'm the Director for Psychological Services. Our department provides training, assistance, and support to school personnel about the assistance team, fondly referred to as the A-Team. In our effort to provide helpful training tools regarding the A-Team, we have videotaped a model A-Team meeting. Today, you will have the opportunity to observe this meeting. The core members of the A-Team include the parent, a teacher, an administrator, a school psychologist, and an A-Team coordinator, and a scribe. Other staff members are invited depending upon the student's referral concern. In addition to these core members, we have also included the role of the RTI interventionist in this video. As we join this model A-Team meeting, it will begin with the teacher greeting the parent at the front office. The first part of the A-Team meeting focuses on three components: setting the tone, identifying the student's problem, and reviewing the student's data.
Hello everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Molly's mother, Mrs. Mayers. Mrs. Mayers, this is Mrs. Green. She's going to be our A-Team coordinator.
Hi, Ms. Mayers. I'm Karen Green, and I'm going to be facilitating our meeting today to make sure that everyone has a chance to talk. We're so happy that you were able to make it here today. Your input is important to us because you know Molly better than anyone sitting here at this table. We're wanting to meet today to find out what works well with Molly and to figure out how to implement some strategies at school to help her. And then you could help us by providing reinforcement at home. There are people on this team from several different areas that will be helping your child. So if everyone would go around and introduce yourselves and tell her how you're serving to help Molly.
Hi, I'm Ravonda Bradshaw. I'm the reading interventionist.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
I'm Carrie Parhaska. I'm the assistant principal at the school.
I'm Jason Mullis, a school psychologist.
And I'm Sarah Lane, her first grade teacher.
Mrs. Mayers, while we're talking, Mrs. Pusney, our scribe, will be taking some minutes on her computer so that we'll have a record of what we've discussed and how we're going to help Molly. I have a couple of things for you. The first is our A-Team brochure that goes over in detail the purpose of the meeting, and you can keep that overview as a reference. And also a page that has a lot of the educational jargon that we'll be using today. When you get home, you might be thinking of what we've talked about and might want to go back over and see exactly what that meant. If we do say something that doesn't make sense to you or that you don't understand, please don't hesitate to stop us, and we'll try to clarify what we have said. If you want to keep it all in that folder, that might be a good idea. Let's start off with Mrs. Lane. Can you describe Molly as a learner in your classroom, please?
I'd be happy to. Well, Molly is a hard worker in the classroom. She's well liked by all of her classmates. She's very eager to please, and she really wants to participate in activities. I've noticed that when I give her visuals or different manipulatives that she can move around, that she shows so much more success in that area because those are the concrete, hands-on things that she's moving around, manipulating, whether it's math manipulatives or letter tiles. She does better when it's hands-on. And I've also noticed that math is a strength for her, and because of it, she shows more confidence in this area because she has had those small successes that have built her confidence up so far.
Molly does, she loves working with her hands and it's so creative. She loves to draw and paint, and she loves playing games on the computer and, you know, doing the educational things too. So I can definitely see those same things at home.
Well, as Miss Mayers and I discussed at our last parent-teacher conference, Molly's having a lot of difficulty with reading. Her decoding skills are developing, but it's still very, very labored and slow. She doesn't have the sight word vocabulary that she needs in order to fluently read her text. She has difficulty blending sounds together, and when that happens, she becomes frustrated. And I just don't want to see her get to the point of frustration where she just doesn't want to come to reading groups, she doesn't want to participate, because I do see such an eagerness to learn. Mrs. Mayers, what have you been seeing at home?
I see the same things at home with her. You know, we read at night, every night together, and when I ask her to read, she gets so frustrated and she says that she's dumb. And then she talks about that her friends are reading in class and some are beginning to make fun of her. So the nights usually end up just with her crying and becoming like so upset, which is, of course, not a great way to end the day. And I don't want her to get to the point that she doesn't like coming to school because she loves this school and she loves you as a teacher.
Well, we wanted to rule out some things that might be impacting her learning. So with your permission, we have conducted some hearing, vision, and speech and language screenings. And the good news is those are not the issues. I have those results here. Her hearing's fine, her vision's fine, her speech and her language are fine. So, moving on from that, Ms. Bradshaw, can you share how Molly is doing in your group?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Mrs. Mayers, if you look at the reference sheet that you have, I'm going to use some of that educational jargon now. Molly was in ERI last year in kindergarten, and she's in my SOAR group this year in first grade. I have a graph of her RTI data here. So this is yours to keep. You can put that in your folder. You're welcome. Every 2 weeks, I have Molly read a first grade passage for 1 minute, and I calculate how many words she reads per minute. Last week, Molly read 4 words per minute, and we expect a first grader at this point in the year to be reading between 10 and 15. In January, we expect students to be reading 25 words per minute, and that's on here. So we're 10 right here and then 25 in January. So the red line on the sheet shows Molly's actual scores. Each red dot is actually the number that she read on the test. And the black line shows where we need for her to be in order to reach her end of the year goal.
Let's take a few minutes to highlight the key components of Part 1 of our Model A Team meeting. Component 1, set the tone. It's important that we focus on developing a positive, collaborative relationship during the meeting. Team members should be on time and stay the entire meeting. Team members' focus should be on the child, and each member should be respectful of the parent's time and feelings, to include not grading papers during AT meetings, texting to others during AT meetings, and making sure our body language is receptive to ideas and new information. In addition, it's important that the teacher or the A-team coordinator greets the parent at the front office to ensure that the parent feels welcome upon entering the meeting. The ATC, our A-team coordinator, should also facilitate the introductions at the beginning of the meeting, and the A-team coordinator should also clearly state the purpose of the meeting. The second component is identifying the student's problems. It's important for the meeting to begin with providing the parent an opportunity to share their concerns regarding their child. Next, the teacher should be offered the same opportunity to share her concerns regarding the student. The team should also consider possible factors that may be impacting the student's learning and/or behavior. These factors could include the student's medical history, family history, student's attendance, frequent moves between schools, and the student's discipline record. The third key component is reviewing the data. It's important that the data should be parent-friendly. That includes graphs, charts, and handouts that are easily understood to the parent. The second part is the data should include a review of the permanent record, a review of screening results, presentation of the work samples by the classroom teacher, and intervention and progress monitoring data. In the second portion of this meeting, team members will work collaboratively to develop an intervention plan for the student. We will join them now.
Well, we see where Molly is now, and next we will want to develop some interventions to address those areas where Molly is having difficulties. We believe that if we do those interventions, Molly's reading will improve. So what additional techniques and strategies can we try to help Molly?
What strategies are working?
Well, I recently have purchased a reading tent for the classroom library, which all the students love, and Molly is really enjoying it. I noticed she shows even more excitement and appears to be more interested in reading when it's her turn to read in the tent. Also, Molly is making gains with SOAR, but she's still not exactly where we would like her to be at this time of year. So we've actually put her in a smaller group. So now she goes with 4 students instead of 6. So hopefully by narrowing down the amount of students in her group, it'll give her more individualized attention to really help her.
Right.
And what isn't working for Molly?
Well, I've noticed one thing, and you kind of hit on it when you said what you see at home. Something that's not working is peer tutoring, because I think she is getting self-conscious of her friends, and I don't want to see her reading abilities impact her relationships with her peers. And so I've noticed that kind of frustrates her when she's reading with one of her friends who's the same as her in all the other ways, but not with their reading abilities. So I just don't want to see her impact those relationships.
So what additional things can we try?
Well, I've observed some students making great gains in reading when the teacher and parent use flashcards to practice high-frequency sight words. So we could try that.
I think that's a good idea. I've seen that strategy work with using the Dolch words as flashcards. These words are going to build upon each other, and the student learns words by sight word, and that's going to increase the number of words they know, and is going to lead to higher reading fluency, and down the road work on increasing that reading comprehension too. And the way I would do this is just take the Dolch words at her level and try to go through them and see which one she knows and doesn't know, and you can have 2 piles there, and then I think a reasonable amount, like is weekly, try to work on 7 new words to get her to learn 7 new words a week. And you can use this chart that we can use to help progress monitor there that I'll talk about again in a minute. But I think the other idea would be to have a second set of the flashcards that we can send home. So every week you could be working on those same words.
And these Dolch words are just high-frequency words that you see in every text, like said and the. And those are words that instead of stopping and trying to sound them out or trying to figure them out, she just knows them and can keep moving. So that'll really help her fluency.
Like the word wall words?
Yeah, they're just like the word
Okay.
wall words. Yes, ma'am.
Great.
That sounds like a really good idea. So we have a plan, and now we need to develop a goal. We'll be working on 7 words a week, but I really don't want to say she's going to learn 42 by 6 weeks out. How about if we back that up and say, maybe 25 words learned over the next 6 weeks? Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
And I'll just progress monitor on Fridays when she comes in first thing in the morning, and we'll go over those 7 words. And then I'll let you know by email, or I'll give you a call Friday afternoon and let you know how she did. And if she missed any, I'll send those words home with her so that you can practice them over the weekend too.
That's a great
Good
idea.
plan.
Is there a form or something that she can keep track of this?
Yes, right here. She can. This is a good form that you can look Monday through Friday to mark whether
Yes, I
were
did
able to
it.
work on those or
Right.
not. And then at the end of the week, you could put in the numbers correct that she was able to do on Friday.
And I can send a copy of this home with her every Friday just to let you know too.
Okay, that sounds great. So we can utilize that flashcard strategy for the next 6 weeks and track her progress with this little chart. And then we'll come back together after 6 weeks of intervention. We're also going to reduce the number of students in her SOAR group, and Moms has agreed to work with her at home by reading with her every night and maybe also going over those Dolch flashcards at home. Does that sound like a good plan to everybody?
Absolutely.
Mrs. Mayers, we've thrown a lot at you today. Do you have any questions?
No, that sounds like a great plan, and, I will be in contact with Ms. Lane and reinforce everything that she's doing, and then keep encouraging Molly to keep working hard.
That sounds like a great idea. Ms. Pusney, would you please read our meeting summary?
Yes. The A-Team Committee met today to review Molly's progress. Her teacher, Ms. Lane, is concerned with her reading skills as Molly struggles with decoding and becomes frustrated when asked to read aloud. Ms. Mayers, Molly's mother, has also noticed that she has trouble reading at home. The A-Team reviewed the strategies designed to help Molly using a classroom reading tent and placing her in a smaller SOAR group. The A-Team reviewed results of vision, hearing, and speech screenings. All were within normal limits. Molly does show a significant weakness in reading skills based on Ames Web data and her performance at home and at school. An intervention plan was developed. The team will reconvene in 6 weeks on October 20th to discuss Molly's progress toward her goal on the intervention plan. Are there any additional comments that you would like added to the summary?
I think that's everything.
I think that sounds great, Ms. Pusney. Thank you for serving as our scribe. Does anyone have any questions? Mrs. Mayers, there are some extra resources for you to use in helping Molly at home. Do you have internet access?
We do.
Okay, those would be great. Several of those are internet sites that will help her with her reading. I look forward to seeing the team back again. We'll meet in 6 weeks, October the 20th at 3 o'clock. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Work with everyone's schedules? Great. Mrs. Mayers, I want to thank you again for coming in. I know it's not always convenient to come in, and people have working schedules, and we do appreciate the effort.
Well, thank you to everybody for trying to help Molly. We really appreciate it.
Let's take a few minutes to recap the critical factors of an effective intervention plan. The 4 critical components of an effective intervention plan are research-based interventions, fidelity of intervention implementation, progress monitoring, and goal setting. In developing an effective intervention plan, the team will determine which research-based interventions the school team is going to implement to help the student. Next, we will implement the intervention with fidelity. It is important that a routine is set for implementing an intervention. This routine ensures that there is consistency in who is implementing the intervention, when it is being implemented, and where it is being implemented. In determining who will do the interventions, possible interventionists could be the teacher, a school aide, a parent volunteer, or a peer tutor. Determine when, how often, and where the interventions will be done. Best practice is 5 days a week, and individual interventions are sometimes implemented between 5 and 15 minutes in length in the school setting. Next, we want to determine how we will measure the student's progress in acquiring new skills. Progress monitoring data will be collected over time to monitor the student's progress. And lastly, we will determine a goal for student improvement. The team will re-meet to determine if the student's goal has been met. For example, the student will learn X skill in X amount of time. At the end of the meeting, it is customary that the teacher walk the parent out of the meeting. This is important because it provides an additional opportunity to touch base with the parent and answer or address any questions and concerns following the meeting. In closing, it is our privilege to work collaboratively with parents to assist students with academic and/or behavioral challenges. Thank you again for your commitment and dedication to the assistance team.